Part 2. How to use the signals. In this section, you'll find more detail about a few of the hero instinct signals you encountered only briefly in Part 1. Part 2 explores real-life applications and examples. These stories will help the concepts stick in your memory. By this point in the course, you already understand how the hero instinct works. Now let's put that knowledge to use. And remember, you don't need to memorize all these signals at once. Come back to this course anytime you feel stuck with your man. Pick one of the methods below and just focus on that one idea until you've mastered it. In this way, you can gradually make progress without feeling overwhelmed with all the options. In time, you will get very good at using these methods. You'll know you've achieved mastery when you begin designing your own signals based on the patterns of the hero instinct you see all around you. Your task is not to foresee the future, but to enable it. Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. Module 12. The Private Island Signal. Let's quickly review what the private island signal is. Then I'll give you the specifics on how to use it. This is the closest thing to a real love potion that exists, because it unleashes all your natural seductive qualities. What is the signal? Let's step back and take a look at the big picture. What is it that we're trying to accomplish again? We're trying to do things that will trigger his hero instinct. So what does that have to do with a deserted island? Well, let me ask you. What do you think would happen if you were actually deserted on an island with the man you're interested in? Take a moment to picture it in your mind. Really, I'll wait. Play a few likely scenes from the first 5 days on the island. Did you imagine a pleasant beach scene with hammocks and coconuts? If you did, you're being unrealistic, because being deserted on an island is a life-threatening event. The two of you would need to work together to find food, shelter, and fresh water. Of course, there would also be a need for rest, planning, and giving each other emotional support. On a practical level, you'd come to depend on one another. If you found a new source of food, who was the first person you're going to want to share the good news with? If you cut your toe on a rock, who do you look around to find? No matter how big the island is, there's one thing you'll quickly become attached to more than anything else. One thing you would hate to lose, and that's him. Naturally, it works the other way around too. To him, you would be the most significant thing on that island. He would always have a general sense of where he could find you, even if he was busy doing something else. As he sat by the fire at night, he would feel intensely lonely if you were not there with him. He would frequently glance up to look into your eyes. Your presence would be comforting to him, and everything that nature designed in your body and his would start to shift you both toward a special kind of relationship. What I've just described for you is an extreme example of propinquity, but let's look at a more likely version. Jessica lives in New York City. She has never met Tom, who lives on a ranch in Texas. Their paths never cross. None of their friends run in the same circles. They share none of the same interests that might draw them into a chat room online. They have zero propinquity. Then Tom grows weary of hard labor. He moves across the country to New York City to take a job with a private detective agency. He finds a nice apartment. The mailboxes are all on the ground floor near the entrance to the apartment building. It just so happens his mailbox is right next to Jessica's mailbox. Now, Jessica and Tom have quite a bit of propinquity, which is simply the amount of opportunity two people have for interacting without even trying. Propinquity is powerful on a deserted island, but it can be much stronger than you would think, even if it's only a twice-per-week chance meeting in a mailroom. So here's the whole idea behind the deserted island signal. Do everything in your power to increase the propinquity you share with the guy you like. As a dating coach, I've noticed there's one method for increasing propinquity that seems to work better than just about anything else. And that's attracting his attention by tapping into the things he's already fascinated by. Don't try to make him fall in love with you. Don't try to make him fascinated with you directly. Instead, do it indirectly by tapping into the things he is already fascinated with. And by this point in the course material, you already know about a deep emotional need that fascinates men. He's fascinated by the opportunity to be someone's hero. So fascinate him with opportunities to be your hero. Hook his attention by activating his hero instinct with gradually intensifying requests for him to step into the hero role in your life. This creates lots of propinquity, and as you have learned, that is a very powerful force of nature, one you'll definitely want to have on your side. The next step is just be you. Propinquity will take care of the rest. Want some practical examples? I'm going to assume you already have a particular guy in mind, and I'm going to assume this is a person you already have at least some interaction with. Here are some things you can ask him to help you with. Any of these will fascinate him by triggering his hero instinct. Notice how the first idea is not intrusive at all. But each of the following ideas gradually increase the intensity of time commitment and intimacy involved in meeting your need. Number 1. Ask him for advice about buying a Christmas gift for your brother. Ask what guys like. Number 2. Ask him to hang out at your apartment with you while a guy comes to pick up something you listed for sale on Craigslist.com. Number 3. Tell him you're going apartment shopping and you don't know or trust the realtor. Something about walking around with a stranger in empty apartments makes you feel nervous. Ask the guy you like to be your bodyguard and maybe offer his opinion about the apartments while he's at it. Here's another sequence of escalating requests for help. In this example, he is a coworker at your new place of employment. Number 1. Ask if he minds sharing his phone number with you so you can text him private questions about people at work. You know, who to avoid, who is generally trustworthy, who you should try to impress, that sort of thing. Number 2. Call him to learn the inside scoop about the unofficial power struggles and social landmines at the office. Number 3. Ask him for a ride to work while your car is in the shop. Number 4. Ask if he would be your date to the company holiday party so you don't feel awkward showing up alone. Remember, you only get to the last request after having spent quite a bit of time talking and building a sense of comfortable interaction with each other. And because each preceding request triggers his hero instinct, you'll be surprised how close the two of you feel by the time you get to the last request. It won't seem desperate or pushy at all. Why does this work? It makes him feel different about himself whenever he interacts with you. It creates a positive emotional response in him. He starts craving more of that feeling whether he's willing to admit it to himself yet or not. A real-life example. Liz was one of my consulting clients a few years back. She worked at a large company that makes specialty parts used by firefighters. She worked on the assembly line, but she was very interested in Evan, who worked in the engineering department. She became interested in Evan when she overheard him talking about his dog. They were both eating lunch in the cafeteria. At the time, Liz had several birds, cats, a dog, and even a horse she boarded at a nearby farm. She was a bit of a pet fanatic, so she took the opportunity to ask Evan what kind of dog he has. And that was a segue to her reason for seeking referrals before taking her new puppy to a vet. He gave her the name of the vet he uses and invited her to tell him how it went after the visit. Soon after, she called him to ask about the purpose of a part she was using in her assembly work. And here's where things get interesting. You see, Liz has just a touch of OCD, obsessive-compulsive disorder, and one of her symptoms was excessive worry about whether she had over-tightened or under-tightened parts she was assembling. She had a hard time letting go of the idea that one mistake could cause a firefighter to have a failed component in a life-threatening situation. She didn't tell Evan all this, but I recommended she uses the power of vulnerability to forge a deeper connection, so she called him after work and admitted to a bit of anxiety. She asked about the purpose of one small part she had been repeatedly assembling for a large order. Because he was in the engineering department, he understood the purpose of the various parts they were assembling. Evan was happy for the opportunity to show off a bit of knowledge that few other people understand or value. At the end of that conversation, she asked if he was okay with her checking in about other parts in the work process if she had questions in the future. He gladly agreed. In the course of their second discussion, Liz learned that he actually had quite a lot of knowledge about basic car repair too. She tucked that bit of information away in her mind. About 2 months later, she asked him to listen to her car engine while she started it in the parking lot after work. Standing there looking into each other's eyes as he explained things, they both realized something had shifted in their relationship. All this sounds fairly normal, but Liz had a secret weapon. She was triggering his hero instinct.